Hello, this is Mark with CQ. We will be continuing our third module on the programming of the premise-based Nimbus and the simply hosted system. In our last installment, we took a look at ring groups, queues, announcements, and IVRs. Today we'll be looking at some, lesser used features on this system, but certainly ones that people do request changes to, so I think it's important to cover them. Let's first start with dial by name directories. This is a common choice for IVRs. Press 5 for a dial by name directory. Obviously that starts by making sure you've created your extensions and your extensions have the proper names here. If you don't do that, there is a way to fix that, but let's just assume that you have created all of your extensions and then each extension has the correct name. To create a dial by name directory, and then I'll also show you how to then tie it to your IVR, under Applications, you'll see Directory. So right away it'll be blank, so we want to add a directory. And then let's just give it a name. There you go, Company Directory. That was easy. You got some choices here. These choices are very common. Invalid. If you take somebody here and they keep typing in a name that doesn't exist, how many times can they do that? This is 3 before it sends them to the destination. So those are things that you can kind of work your way through if you want. Once again, hover over the question mark and it'll tell you kind of what that is. But the main purpose of this is to create this down here. So you can press the plus sign, and then if you click on that, you can do this one by one. So we could add Mark. So it took the name from the extension, and then it's going to basically, if they spell, I think it's the first or the last name, they can spell either, and it'll ask them, if there's more than one match, it'll provide both, and then the user can choose. It'll then call 101. If you want to add in the other person, you can. Right? So you can add, you get to choose the people you want in the dial by name directory. Let's just say, for example, you've got a large business and you don't want to choose them one by one. You can also choose the all users. So then it'll just create a choice for every extension that you have, which is a lot faster. And if you don't want to include one, you simply just trash can it out. So now they can spell Mark Vogel or the Sam Spivey, and it'll dial this. A few things that are interesting here, voicemail greeting. When someone sets up their mailbox, one of the things they do is record their name. And that's what will play here. So it's, encourage people to record their name when they're filling out their voicemail because this will use it. You can change this to do text to speech. The system will try to say their name for them. Doesn't always sound great. So that's why I encourage the voicemail greeting. And then this is also interesting. This fills it in for you where the default is the extension number. But let's just say Sam Spivey is the CEO. And if somebody spells out his name, you don't want it to ring to his phone. Maybe you want it to ring his admin's phone, the person that handles his business. So if someone spells Sam Spivey, you could send it to 106. The customer, the person calling in has no idea. So that call is actually routed to Sam Spivey's admin professional and not Sam Spivey. But if you want to get rid of that, it'll default back to Sam's extension. So you can go ahead and save that. And then if you go back to your IVR, let's just say we'll do closed IVR. This makes a little more sense for an open IVR, but regardless, if you want to do press 9 for a dial by name directory. So under 9, choose directory, and then there you go. You got your company directory, which we just made. So now you're actually using that directory. So you'd probably want to update your greeting. Otherwise, the customer is going to have no idea to press 9. Update your greeting using the feature code. Include, press 9 for a dial by name directory. And then once they press 9, it will then take them into the directory where it prompts them to spell the first 3 letters of the first or last name. So that's a dial by name directory, quite useful. The other feature that's is common is parking. So under Applications, you want to look parking, and now parking is set default for you. You don't have to change anything for it to work. Parking is a way, if I have a caller, I can park them, they're listening to music, everybody's happy. I can then contact the person they want to speak to and say, hey, Jim's on the phone. He wants to talk to you about this order. And then they can take their time, figure out what they need to do, and then pick up that person from park. Most people have a key for this. So the parking is 70, but the first starting position is 71. So if you look at your keys, if you give somebody a call park key, the value is 70. What that does is that then puts them in the first parking lot. And the first parking lot is 71. You don't have to stick with 70. If you want to change this to 80 or 90 or 700, you can. It's totally fine. There is a module that allows you to have multiple parking, orbits, which is useful for a multi-tenant system. So you could have 70, 80, 90, 100 all on the same system, and you can assign people to the correct parking orbit. Like I said, that's a module. That's an upgrade to your phone system. If you have any questions on that, let me know. But you can change it here. So it's going to put them in 71. And then if someone's in 71, it'll put them in 72. If someone's in 71 and 72, it'll put them in 73. And it will audibly tell you what location they were parked in. You can change this. So if you want to change this just to have 4 parking spots, you can do that. This is an important one here. This parking timeout. Default is 45, which means after 45 seconds, the caller will no longer be parked. So sometimes 45 is okay. Some people want that to be 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Go ahead and change that there. And then if you look down here, you have what happens to that caller after 120 seconds. If nobody picks them up, they're kind of lost. They're hearing music for 2 minutes. The first choice is they come back to the origin. That's set to yes by default, which means they're going to come back to the person who parked them. It's going to ring back, and the person's going to say, I was waiting to talk to somebody and nobody picked up. But then this one, your destination, is what if this person is busy? So extension 100 parks them. They sit there for 2 minutes. They come back to 100, but 100's busy. That's what this destination is. And default is terminate call, which is kind of a strange default. So you'll probably have some customers say, hey, people that are placed on parked are eventually getting hung up on. And that only happens if the person that parked them is busy. So you can change this to like a ring group. So 100 parks a call, nobody picks them up. It comes back to 100, but they're busy. It then goes to a ring group. So that makes sense. Like I said, this is all set for you. Default parking will work regardless of if you come in here or not. But these are some things that some people do want to change. Most people do want a parking timer more than 45. And most people want to have a destination other than terminate call. All right, the other thing is paging and intercom. So the system has the ability on the speakers of the phone to have a page. So if we add a page group, there are some settings here as well. But if we go to a page group, we give it a number. As you're getting the idea, this is very similar. You give something a number, you give something a name. So 600, page all, and then you get to decide which phones are paged. And this just comes over the speakers of the phone. I don't encourage large numbers of phones to be paged at the same time. Don't put more than 15, 20. It depends on the size of your system and the RAM on your system. If you start to put too many phones in a page group, you'll notice quite a large delay, because basically what happens is the phone system needs to open a phone call. The phone system basically calls every extension on that list. And so if it has to, at the drop of a hat, call 20, 25, 30, 50, 60 people at the same time, first of all, there's going to be a delay. Second of all, it might actually disrupt ongoing conversations. So keep this to a minimum. There are other ways to do paging. We do have a page module, a page upgrade, Page Pro, and that allows you to use multicast paging, which allows you to page larger numbers of phones without actually calling them. And that's desirable. or you can use a paging overhead adapter, which is something that is nice as well. So don't put too many people in your page group. We've got 2 right here. That's fine. You got some options down here. What should you do for extensions that are on the phone? Someone that's part of a conversation, you can skip them. You can force it, which basically, ends that phone call. So you really only want to do that for like a really emergency page. Duplex means that it's a 2-way conversation. So if you're paging 15 people, all of those 15 people can talk back to you. Most people do know for that. It's a 1-way page. And then you would just hit save. So now you could give this person a button on their phone, call it page, with a value of 600. And so if you dial 600, or if you press that button, it could be a BLF key or a speed dial. Speed dial probably makes more sense. BLF is for monitoring, other extensions. But if you call 600, it'll just pop up over their speakers, and whatever you say into your handset will be broadcast over their speakers. So you would use that as a button on the phone. The last thing on the phone system, and this is true for the Nimbus and the Simply Hosted, not true for the Simply Hosted Plus. There's no upgrades on Simply Hosted Plus that you manage. But this is comprised, as you've noticed, of a large number of modules. Paging, extensions, parking, you name it. All of those are individual modules. And at times there's bugs, at times there's upgrades, and all of those are managed in the module update. So under admin, you'll see module admin. And so this will show you all of the modules. So there's quite a few. You can put these on a schedule. So at the top, if you click on schedule and alerts, you can set some updates here. You can do automatic module updates. You can do automatic module security updates. You can decide when that happens. You can do system updates. So there's actually kind of 2 different ways. There's 2 updates on a system. There's modules, and then there's systems. Systems like the underlying operating system. Like kind of the Linux sort of a thing. And then the modules are kind of what's on top of that. So you can do those both automatic, or you can kind of separate them. I encourage security updates to be left as enabled. And then doing this off hours is also wise. If you want emails to tell you that that's happened, you can. Most people get annoyed with that and turn that off, but you can be notified when the updates happen. If you want to run things manually, you come back to module updates, you press check online. At this point, the system looks for updates. Has anything changed? Especially true if you're not doing automatic. It'll come back. So you can see that there's some red ones here. Online update available. Online upgrade available. So what you can do is just do upgrade all. So that automatically sets all of them to upgrade. And then you can hit process. So it's going to take you to the next page. It's going to show you all of the ones that are available. And then you can hit confirm. And it will go through and do the updates. You might see an error if everything, if there's some kind of a dependency issue, but otherwise it'll take you back to a screen and say, hey, you're all set. And once you've done your updates, I'll give you see how long this lasts for. It'll look something like this. And if there's an error, it'll kind of skip past it and go to the next module. So it'll kind of go through all 5 of these. You'll see some of the steps. Once the entire thing is finished, then just close it out. Wait for the system to the system will kind of reload a little bit, and then you want to hit that apply config to really take all of those settings and make them permanent. So just kind of wanted to show you this. Look, like you can see, it kind of gives you an idea of percentages as things go through. Right, so we'll just kind of follow this through. Looks like it's almost done. Some of these modules you don't even use, but it's good for security's sake just to keep them up to date. I personally like the automatic, like a Saturday or Sunday, just to update my modules for me. I always have best intention of doing it manually, but it rarely happens. Some people have a, when the customer has a programming change, that's when they update their modules. Up to you. Whatever works best for you. So as you can see, they're all done. You can either hit the X up here, or you can hit the return. In older versions, the return actually didn't work. And then all you have to do is hit apply config. At that point, you have made the updates, and you've applied them. That concludes this module for our paging, parking, dial by name directory, and module updates.